Hey Double O's, Blake over at Bond Life Chicago with another Double O fight breakdown. Today, Goldfinger, Bond's escape from the holding cell at Goldfinger's ranch. Not a very long fight, but I do like a couple things about it. Obviously, it's got Bond's quick wit, his situational awareness, and then some gun defense and a very tiny minimal amount of striking. But again, the main thing, kind of my favorite thing with the Bond fights itself, obviously he's got a whole realm of knowledge of fighting, but when he uses his quick wit and his situational awareness, his resourcefulness, that's really my favorite part. So obviously he's in the holding cell. It's a small little cell, probably like a 8x10 room, and he's pacing back and forth, and he's formulating his plan as he's walking back and forth. And he walks back to one end, he walks back to the door, he sees the henchman there, smiles and waves. Walks back, he does the same thing again. Now he's creating a pattern in that guard's mind. The third time he walks back, and instead of smiling and waving, he smiles, winks, and slides down, and he disappears. Where could he have gone? It's a 10x8 room. But the henchman walks up, looks through the little window, and well, he can't find him. He doesn't know where he's at. Obviously, something's up. I've got to go in there and investigate instead of just go and tell somebody. So he pulls out his gun. Another thing about this part, as far as weapon retention in itself, now obviously he's a henchman. We want Bond to get the upper hand, but he holds it just with one hand. Two hands are always better than one. So if he was holding it with two, he might have had a better chance, but he's holding it with one, and he kicks the door in. So obviously not a very strong door if he's able to just kick that door off of the locking mechanism. But again, I digress there. And he enters. And now he's a couple feet in the door. Still doesn't see Bond. He doesn't know where he's at. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And just as he's kind of coming to that he's not there, Bond jumps down from the ceiling and kind of gets behind him. And he's got him in a little bit of like a hold like this. If he wanted to, he probably could have tried to choke him out, but instead he grabs him here and he throws him to the ground. And now Bond's kind of behind him and at his side. And so if they're on the ground now, as the henchman tries to turn to point the gun back at Bond, Bond does a good job of grabbing the wrist that has the gun and the elbow, and he's forcing it away from him as he's pushing that way so the henchman can't push back and point the gun at him. And Bond's able to continue to push it away. And he actually, again, the situational awareness, he's pushed it so far away from him now that it's actually pointing in the opposite direction. And he's able to bring his hand back at this point, which actually would use double the force because the henchman's trying to push it this way, and now Bond's pulling it this way. But because it's so far on the other side, it's actually underneath the frame of the bed. And Bond slams the henchman's back of his hand wrist area 3 times on the edge of the bed, which eventually makes the henchman drop the gun. Now that's out of play. And as the henchman drops the gun and he kind of turns and he either elbows or pushes Bond off, Bond kind of goes back up against the wall of the cell. And Bond realigns himself and turns so that now he's in between the henchman and the exit of the cell. So he's actually got his back to the exit of the cell. And as the henchman's trying to get back up to continue to fight Bond, Bond does a really good, effective, just straight up kick to the henchman's chin face area. Ultimately knocks the henchman out. Bond's able to grab the gun. Of course, he grabs his sports coat and he exits the cell. He closes it, locks it so that nobody that's walking by thinks anything's up, other than obviously the henchman's left his post. But that's the fight. Again, pretty quick, but I do like it, and pretty resourceful and just awesome Bond. As always, if you guys are serious about self-defense and martial arts, please find a local gym in your area. It's a great way to stay fit. It's a great way to stay safe, and it's a great way to bring a little bit of your Bond into your everyday life. Hope you guys like this one. See you on the next one.